All right, we're back here, Overtime Live Sports Bet Radio. We just finished watching the Saints game. The Philly Seattle game's kicking off. So we're going to talk about the Saints' last exits from the playoffs under Drew Brees. They've all been pretty
very dramatic.
very dramatic, very disappointing. Saints have had great teams every year since they've won the Super Bowl. It's just really
shut away a lot of good offenses.
It's always something with them. So we're going to start with 2010. Remember that game? The Beastquake.
I do not want to remember that.
Even after Marshawn Lynch's career in Buffalo and all the credit and the numbers that he's put up, I never expected him to do a play like that. I think that
was a signature moment for him.
That play solidified him as an elite, probably a Hall of Famer. He played long enough. He might make the Hall of Fame. And it was a big game. 2010, Saints lost to Seattle 41-30. 2011, the Saints are back in the playoffs. They're going up against the San Francisco 49ers.
That was the Vernon Davis game.
Vernon Davis.
And
I say the Alex Smith game, man, because I still was sleeping on him.
He didn't have an amazing game. He did have a pretty good year that year.
He had an amazing career. I hope he's able to recover and maybe find a place somewhere in the league. I know his team could use him right now.
Yeah, he was a nice story, honestly.
It's sad the way he broke his leg, and the conditions of the surgery allowed him to.
Just reminds you of a Joe Theismann injury.
Mm-hmm.
It was gruesome.
Yep, the Saints 49ers, they scored 4 touchdowns in the final 4 minutes.
That solidified the rivalry right there.
It was a very high-scoring game. Smith to Vernon Davis with 9 seconds left sealed the game for the 49ers, took them to the NFC Championship.
They had the wrong person covering Vernon Davis. Roman Harper should have never been back there.
Roman Harper, 2011. 2013, Marcus Colston. Saints could have ran out of bounds with 6 seconds left after recovering an onside kick in 2013. They couldn't get it done. Illegal forward pass cost them the game against Seattle.
Yet another loss to Seattle. That one felt really personal because going back to 2010 and that Marshawn Lynch run was very disappointing.
The next time we saw the Saints leaving the playoffs a little too soon was 2017 against the same team we saw today was the Minneapolis Miracle. You remember that?
Yeah, I sure do.
It's the first walk-off touchdown in playoff history.
Honestly, I didn't believe it was happening. Honestly, it felt like a dream. Because all they had to do was just either tackle him, push him out of bounds, swat the ball down. But instead, Marcus Williams decided to go for a low shoulder hit.
He wanted to take the safe route. Yeah, he's trying to get him down.
He could have bear hugged him.
He's a rookie, man. Rookies make rookie mistakes. This is a big time play. There was nobody past Marcus Williams to tackle him, and he just went to the house. It was a 61-yard touchdown pass. Stephon Diggs. And they were the number 3 seed that year with 13-3, you know.
And that was a Case Keenum miracle.
Yeah, Case Keenum. Now that brings us to today's incident. Last year, in 2018, when the Saints left the playoffs, it was because of a bad call. The blind ref incident. Tell us what happened.
Well, Saints decided to throw a deep ball to call pass interference on a Tommy Lee Lewis 9 route, and Mikael Roby-Coleman decided to completely clothesline the wide receiver who was nowhere near the ball.
Was there any way it wasn't pass interference?
I mean, everybody agrees that it was. NFL even admittedly said.
What about the player, the defensive player? Did he admit that it was pass interference?
Yes, he admitted to it.
So everybody unanimously agrees.
Everybody knows that
it was a pass interference.
And in a similar fashion this year.
Could the referee see it? Could the referee see that pass interference play?
Well, from what I understand, the referee was going to pull out the flag, and the other referee, the one that didn't have a good angle on the play whatsoever, ran over to him and told him not to pull out the flag.
Oh, wow. That sounds like a conspiracy to me.
Yes.
So what happened today?
It was a great game, honestly. It was a great game.
Very competitive.
Vikings played very, very well. The defensive line is ferocious. Everson Griffin is a superstar.
Missed field goals, penalties, all things that really altered
Fairly
the
clean
outcome.
game.
Fairly clean. I was entertained down to the wire. Went into overtime.
Couple of mistakes caused by Drew Brees cost us.
Turnovers hurt, man. Turnovers will kill you. We saw a Drew Brees fumble, which is very
Coach
uncharacteristic.
Payton didn't take advantage of a hot hand, which was Taysom Hill. He kept feeding the ball to Alvin Kamara, and
Yeah, Coach
kept
Payton looked
putting
a
the
little
ball
out
in
of it
Drew
today.
Brees'
He had an unusual glare
He
on his
did.
face.
Did you see him on the sideline?
He seemed to just be staring down.
He kept looking at his play caller card, and he kept smiling when he was down 3 points at halftime.
He never really showed too much emotion the whole game. Even when the penalties,
even after the game, Drew Brees didn't show any emotion.
Yeah.
He was smiling, shaking hands like
it was
just another loss.
Very casual Saints loss.
It was a very casual exit.
Yeah, just like they've done every year. But
I saw
that last play, do you believe there was a penalty on that play?
Well, you at least have to review it.
Mm-hmm. So
And
Kyle Rudolph.
Ask for a second opinion.
Kyle Rudolph route to the back of the end zone.
You can't when the stakes are so high, you can't just allow one person to make that decision.
That's true.
So I felt like a second opinion should have been
what?
necessary. I mean,
it didn't seem like they put much effort into it.
It's the last play of the game.
They didn't seem to put a lot of effort into getting that second
and no
opinion.
one cared.
Yeah.
Didn't seem
Everybody
like
was
no
cool.
one contested.
It was almost like they talked about it before the game, what was going to happen. The fumbles and the turnovers and everything.
Yeah, it seemed very scripted.
It was a very, very interestingly entertaining game. All right, well,
very disappointing.
You know, end of a great season for the Saints. We got a few more games on the slate coming up, and we're going to move on into the divisional round. So, thank you guys for tuning in. Be sure to like and subscribe on YouTube. Check out our sponsors at TeamSpadesPoker.com and our friends over at All the Rage Rated R Podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe them too.
Thanks for having me, B.
Falcon, we're signing off. He'll be back soon.
Looking forward to doing this again.
Next week we'll have DJ Rage on. We'll have Gulf Coast rapper Plow will be coming by for an interview. So thank you all for tuning in. I'll see you guys next time.
Peace.
Multiple 100-yard games. They got some rookie wide receiver up there. But what about the fire? Is it a little early, or is it too late, or should have been done mid-season, or what? How do you just They're still.
I feel like you should never fire a coach mid-season because that just ruins all the chemistry and players follow.
So you don't think that at some point a season can be salvaged? Like the Browns situation, with the first game, people already knew that Freddie Kitchens was a horrible coach. He's making bonehead calls left and right.
I honestly don't believe he can salvage a season in the middle of the season by bringing in a different head coach.
Okay.
Because it would take him so long to implement his culture and his schemes.
It takes years to build chemistry at any level, in any relationship, and that's why
the off season is so important. That's why the training camps and all the OTAs are so important.
Well, when they're moving players as often as they do, you never know who you're going to be playing next. Next week you'll be playing across from the guy you're playing next.
Cleveland just try to salvage things on the fly, and that's not how things are done.
Yeah, that's the problem with Cleveland. They didn't. That's why the general manager should be the first to go before the head coach, because the head coach actually has value. The general manager hasn't been doing a good job.
Right.
What about Jason Garrett? They finally got rid of Jason Garrett. Finally.
Well, Dallas just needs a more aggressive coach. With all the explosive weapons that they have in their disposal and the talent that they have on the defensive side of the ball.
Would you recommend a defensive coach or offensive coach?
A defensive coach. So that way they could take advantage of the running game, melt the clock, and play a slow drawn out game.
Ezekiel Elliott make the Pro Bowl this year?
I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah, probably let him slide in there. Do you have 1,000 yards? I wonder. We gotta look into that. Well, the only other person who's effing out is the Oakland Raiders. The Oakland Raiders are effing out of L.A. They're going to be moving to their new team stadium somewhere in Las Vegas. Never heard it, never seen it.
Oakland is actually looking better than Cleveland at this point. A lot better than a lot of teams.
Derek Carr had some bright moments once in a while this game. So let's talk about the game we saw this morning. This morning we saw the New Orleans Saints at home. Minnesota came to town.
Yeah,
What did you see?
It was a highly anticipated game.
Big time matchup. Revenge game.
A lot of people anticipated a blowout from the Saints' perspective.
What did the spread come in at?
The original spread was 7.5, and then it was bumped to 8 points.
It was -8 points at kickoff. Saints were big favorites. And what happened?
Well, we'll start off with the first quarter. Big turnover from the get-go. Saints got the ball back and got 3 points out of it. Minnesota came back and got 3 points back. And you could just tell that one of the two receivers were going to have a big day because they couldn't allocate all their defensive players into just two players. That would have destroyed everything else. The running game was really solid for the Vikings. By them limiting Stephon Diggs, it really just allowed
They shut down Diggs,
Thielen to thrive. And he had a lot of big plays, a lot of crucial third down completions.
A lot of important plays. Big plays.
And, Kirk Cousins had the biggest game of his life.
Kirk Cousins really amazed me today, man. The plays that he had to make and the way that he did it, I'm putting him top 10. He's finally earning his money. He's finally putting his play where his money is, man.
And in the second quarter, we had a crucial missed field goal.
That missed field goal was a game-changing event, wasn't it?
It really was because
How often is Will Lutz missing field goals?
not very often.
I believe they said he was on an 18 field goal hit streak,
Highest paid kicker in the league.
and he misses the most important game. Game changer, because later on in that fourth quarter,
Honestly, think he jinxed it because he said, watch, he's going to miss this one. And honestly,
and he sure
I blew it
did.
off because, it's Will Lutz.
That's amazing, man.
It is amazing.
He makes that field goal, instead of trying to tie the game, they're kicking for the game-winning 3 points.
And then going back to the Drew Brees interception, the very first interception, it was just
That's all louder with this train.
It's
So
just
for
a
the Saints, we got a few more games on the slate coming up, and we're going to move on into the divisional round. So thank you guys for tuning in. Be sure to like and subscribe on YouTube. Check out our sponsors at TeamSpadesPoker.com and our friends over at All the Rage Rated R Podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe them too.
Thanks for having me, B.
Falcon, we're signing off. We'll be back soon.
Looking forward to doing this together.
Next week we'll have DJ Rage on. We'll have Gold Coast rapper Plow be coming by for an interview. So, thank you all for tuning in. I'll see you guys next time.